Hello Flosstube, my name is Sally. I am also known as Flossie Sews and Grows on here and also on Instagram. Welcome to Flosstube number 50. Woohoo! Number 50. It's a great year for, oh, that was last year 50, wasn't it? Yeah, completely forgotten. So it's a great Flosstube number to do today, because I am going to share with you all about my 50 new starts for 50, which I did last year in 2024 to celebrate turning 50 with the lovely Sew Me Sarah. I thought I would go through today, show you all of the projects, where they are now. Quite a few of them have been finished, and I had a couple of fully finishes as well. So I just thought I'd catch you up. Now, I did this about 6 months ago. I went through and I think I was up to number 32. So you have seen the first 32. Some of them, however, have changed since that I've finished them or done some more work on them. Some of them haven't. So those first 32, I'll probably go quite quickly, and I'm probably not going to give you any details about fabric or threads that I've used. If you would like to know more, you can either send me a message and I'll tell you, or you could go back to my Flosstube special that I did, I think it was in July, where I went through those 32 projects. So yes, it's been a wonderful year, a really wonderful year. I love doing this challenge of 50 new starts, and I love doing it with Sarah, and also loved all of you that joined in with projects with us. It was just amazing. It just, you know, the sense of community and the sense of spirit was just, it was wonderful. So thank you to anyone that did. So we'll start with number one. So number one was the Twin Bird Pin Cushion by Girl with the Gavel Stitches. Now this is a finished object. I'd hoped to have finished this for the new year. So it's now the 4th of January. Many of you know we were away for Christmas, and I'll talk more about that in my next Flosstube when it's more of a general Flosstube. But unfortunately we got delayed on the way home, so we were 48 hours later getting home than planned. And my plan for those 48 hours was to kind of recover and have New Year's Day and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day kind of relaxing before work started on Thursday, and I was going to spend the time getting this fully finished. Well, of course it didn't happen, so it's still there, but hopefully this is something I can do this month to get that one fully finished. So that was number one. Number two was Go Tell It on the Mountain by Heartstrings Samplery, which is also a finish. Again, I'd hoped to get this one finished for Christmas, but alas, didn't manage it with just the run up to Christmas, and going away was really busy. Number three, oh, and just to let you know, I've got, so I'm using the cross stitch journal for my 50. This has space for 50 projects. It's from It's So Emma Stitchery, and so I've put in all 50 so that I've been able to keep track of them. So number three was Santa and the Woolmaker. This is a printout because I had this as a PDF. I bought this one at the Jingle Ball last year, and it's a collaboration between Liz Matthews and her mum, Kathy Barrick. This is the first one that is still a WIP. So not a huge amount of progress made on this. I've done this on a 40 count fabric from XG Designs, and I'm finding it quite small to stitch on, quite hard to see, so it's a bit slow, although I have just sorted out magnification and I'm finding the 40 count is a little bit better, so I'm hoping this one will get some work on it in 2025. Number four was the button box. Now this is from, oh, the book is hidden in there somewhere. This is from the Friendship's Way book by Blackbird Designs, and I stitched this for my friend Roz, who is at Roz Clark Crafts. She'd gifted me the book and I stitched the button box for her. She'd commented how much she loved it, and I did it all in really bright as I could had, or I could stitch colours, because Ros really likes pinks and purples and bright colours, and I stitched it all in Roxy Flossco colours and gifted it to her for her 50th. So hopefully you will have seen some pictures of that. Since I last my update in July, I have finished this one. So this is For Thee by Lila Studio, and this is a freebie. I struggled with this one a little bit, just struggled to get it finished. I miscounted and I fudged it a bit, and perhaps didn't enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed other stitches, but I think it looks fantastic and I'm really pleased I did it and stuck with it. I did it with some Roxy Flossco colours and Roxy Flossco Violet Woods, Aubergine, Shy Violet, and then the Brennan needle for the black and the bright pink. I was going to do it all in purples and the black, but felt it just was missing something, so added in that bright pink, and I think that really lifted it and made it look fantastic. So I'm hoping, obviously Valentine's Day is coming up soon. I've got my initials in there and Simon's initials in there. I'm hoping that I can get this made into a little pillow or a picture for a Valentine's Day present for Simon. You've seen these two already. These were fully finished items when I talked to you in July. So we've got, sorry my notes are down here, I really should have them in front there, shouldn't I, so I'm not looking down at them. So Cupid's Cup and Be Mine, both by Brenda Gervais, with Thy Needle and Thread, and they were finished and fully finished the last time you saw those as well. As was Let Love Grow. Had I fully finished this one? I think I possibly had. I can't quite remember, but certainly it was finished. This is from Hands On Design, and this was the 2024 anniversary stitch that Kathy did for Mr. Hands On Design, and that was a freebie. She does one every year, and I did this on a Fabrics by Crafty Kate fabric. Really love that colour. Number 9 was the Winter Celebration Small by Liz Matthews. This is a freebie as well, and I stitched this for my mum's birthday last year. Winter Snow. This was finished last time you saw it as well. So that's number 10, and that's by Lisa at Lost in Stitches. And I was joined stitching that one by Ruth, my friend Country Gal 854, and also Amy, who is at Renewing Stitches, both on Instagram. And Amy does have a Flosstube as well, which is wonderful, so please go and watch her. The next one was number 11, and this was Coffee and Eggs by the Artsy Housewife, and I did this as a stitch along with my friend Lisa, who is at Mir Rechts Ich Ge Bastien. She has told me what it means and I can't remember off the top of my head. Lisa has now finished this one, and I'm still going. So I can't think if I have stitched on this since I showed it to you in July. Can't quite remember, but I thought this would be a relatively small, quick and easy chart, but in fact it's massive and it has taken quite a lot of time to get there so far. So still quite a bit more for some progress. And that is I'm keeping that in a little kind of birdie, chickeny bag that was made for me by my friend Lizzie, who is at Mrs. Fisher Stitches, who's also another floss tuber that you should definitely go and watch. Number 12 is Hen and Chicks, another one by Brenda Gervais, stitched on a Crafty Kate fabric called Sand Dunes. And this was also finished last time. And I've since given that chart to my friend Elaine, who's at Ellie Welly Stitcher, because she also has chickens. I think this was finished last time as well. Home Sweet Home by Scattered Scene Samplers. Elaine has this one too, so we've both stitched it. She's got that up in her house. Had I finished it last time? Because actually I think I saw Elaine had done a hoop finish and I'm not sure I'd done mine, and then that was in July. We went to have a barbecue with her. I may have come home then and said, I've got to finish it, and done that hoop. Can't quite remember. We did that for a St David's Day start because Elaine now lives in Wales, so that was quite special. The Mandala Rooster, this was a freebie from Maloka Designs. If you subscribe to her newsletter, you can now buy this. I love stitching this on a 36 count white cotton, linen, and of course, because I was stitching 36 count, I did it with one strand of DMC. And I think, you know, traditionally, I think with Maloka Designs you would probably use two because of the vibrancy, but actually I think he looks pretty special. I think he's still just as vibrant with one strand of thread, so I was really pleased with that experiment. Number 14, that was number 14. Number 15, so this wasn't finished last time I saw you because I finished this one in August. So this is 10 Merry Sailors by Modern Folk Embroidery. And this is stitched on 36 count country vintage mocha with Roxy Floss Co. Great Lakes thread, definitely one of my favourites. And I started stitching this in March because it was my friend Sherry, Just So Sherry, her birthday, so it was a start in honour of her. And this was a chart that was in our pack for Stitch in London in 2023. And it did have more on it. It had an alphabet, it had a border. I decided not to stitch them. I love it just as it is. And there you can see it says Stitch in London 2023 at the bottom, and my initials are here. So this is going to be framed, and this will go up. I think this will go up on my stitchy wall here, along with other stitches that I will have celebrating me going to retreats. Number 16. This was one I think that was finished just after I last spoke to you. This was finished the 19th of July. And this is Gathering Strawberries by Annie B's Folk Art. And it's got, I changed it slightly. I changed the colour of the chickens so that it had a black one for our Ginny, a red one for Little Red, a grey one for Beyonce, and a white one for Snow. And then there is another, I know there isn't a white one, another one, there are only just the four. I love this. This is on a Tom and Lily Creations fabric called Wisteria, and I started it on Felicity's birthday because that was celebrating 3 years of us having our chickens. Number 17 was Garden of Dreams by Barbara Anna. I think I might have just finished this last time I spoke to you actually, so you might have seen this as a finished object. This was inspired by Gladys, who is 88, and she'd stitched this, and she'd stitched it on a green fabric, and she had, so that she didn't have to stitch all of the green that is usually inside, which I copied her and did the same. And her daughter Angela, who is Crafts in the Attic, sent me a photo of Angela's. I'm going to pop it up here because it's so lovely, and I know that, you know, it's wonderful that Gladys at 88 is still stitching, and I think an absolute inspiration to us all to keep going. So I wanted to show that again. And I stitched this with my friend Sally, who is Stitchy Sally, and also we were joined by Audrey, who is the Fancy Froggy, Debbie, who is at DebbieAnn2018, who I met in Harrogate last month, and Sue, who is at SueWalker.11. So there were quite a few of us that stitched this, and yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Loved stitching it. I think I made a few mistakes on it, and I think I did end up having to make some changes. Number 18 was Easy Peckings by Cosford Rise Stitchery. This is just a printout because of the cover, because I bought a PDF. And this is how far I've got so far. I have made progress on this since you saw it on my last kind of WIP parade, or my last New Start update. And I haven't got an awful lot more to do. I have got one more chicken to do here, and I think it will be finished. So I'm hoping to pick that up this month and get that one finished. That one is an aim to finish this month. And I stitched that with my friend Rachel, who is at Stitchy Rach. We started that one together, and it was stitched on a light Mockers Vigart that I was gifted by my friend Audrey. we did a Halloween exchange organised by, I think it was organised by Lindsay Dixon, who is one of the Yorkshire stitching ladies. And so I've not met Audrey, but we had a lovely little exchange, and that fabric was one of the gifts in there, which was wonderful. So that's number 19. I am going through these quite quickly because you have seen these. When I get to the 32 onwards, I will slow down a little bit and tell you a bit more about them. So number 19 was schoolgirl lessons. Didn't take me long to stitch this. It's stitched on a mystery 40 count fabric, and it's stitched with Merlot by Roxy Flosstube. And quite a few people stitched this. This is one of the ones that Sarah and I did together. So every month we would choose one pattern to do together over the 12 months. So everything, all the other 38 stitches were different. We could choose our own. We weren't doing the same 50, but once a month we did one together. And we had quite a few people joining in with that one. Sherry at Just So Sherry joined in as well. Sarah at Cross Stitch Sarah joined in, and also Sarah, who is S Law VW, joined in with us on that one as well. Next is honestly, the pile. I'll pop a little picture here of what the ironing board looked like before I started. But the pile here now is massive. So for the next 30 that we've got. So number 20 is a Lila Studio Spring Quaker. Now this was started back in April, so a little bit behind in this. And this is where I've got to so far. So this one really needs some time on it. Made a decent amount of progress. That basket bottom is really quite big. And I started this in April with my friend Alex, who is Salex Stitches. It was a birthday start for Alex. And we were joined by Ruth at Country Gal 854. We were joined by my friend Mary Ann Johnson 2020. We were joined by Amy at Renewing Stitches, who I've got a feeling she's doing it 1/1. It's tiny in comparison. And also Caroline, another friend, really good friend of Alex and myself, who is Caroline's Stitch Corner. So we all started that together. Caroline actually had a little bit of time off work, just a bit of time doing some physiotherapy, so she managed to get lots of progress done on this. Loads of progress. Really impressive the amount she'd done, but I don't think she's finished yet. So hopefully in the next month or two we'll all want to pick it back up again as the weather starts getting a little bit nicer and a bit more spring-like. Number 21 is another finish, and this was the Itch to Stitch by October House Fibre Arts. I was a bit up and down with this one and whether I was enjoying it, because I think I certainly made a mistake on this spool here, that I used the wrong colour, and I've changed colour midway. But aren't all spools slightly different with variegated threads on them? So this one, I should be able to finish that one, fully finish that one quite quickly actually, and get that one as a little pillow or on the front of a project bag or something like that. I am throwing them into the box of doom as I go. There's a box there with all my finished objects that need fully finishing, and there's quite a few in there from the year before, as well as these ones. Well, I'll do some statistics at the end of how many items I have to fully finish. One I did fully finish was number 22. It was Friends Are Like Flowers by Lucy Beam, and I stitched this on a fabric from Tom and Lily Creations called Bollywood, and it was a present from one of my friends, Lynn, who's a non-stitcher, and so that was gifted, and there's the photo of it. Blooming Tiny Town. Now, Blooming Tiny Town. I started this as a stitch along with my friend Nadine, who is at nads_xstitch, and I don't know how far Nadine's got with it actually, because we haven't seen a floss tube from her for a while. So Nadine, come on, want to see ya. And not overly enamoured with the colours, the called for colours on this. So this is my very meagre start. of that middle house. Now, I think, you know, kind of since I've done this, I have become a lot more confident with my colours. I also have been gifted some beautiful variegated threads over the year. So what I think I will do, once the weather starts getting a bit nicer and I fancy doing something that's a bit more jolly, I'm going to get this out and I'm just going to change the colours from the called for that I've got in here. I mean, they're not, don't get me wrong, they're not unnice colours, but I just think for kind of blooming, for summer, for colour, they just could be a little bit more vibrant. So I'm going to have a little bit of a session on trying to brighten that one up and get that one in a position where I want to stitch on it and make it a bit more. So one that you haven't seen, which is now finished since my last update, is the Dreaming of Summer Stitch Along. Now this is the kit from Love Poppet, and it was kindly gifted to me by the lovely Claire, the owner of Love Poppet, and I loved stitching this. But I did my usual trick. This is a 32 count even weave, which 32 count, I'm still going to stitch it with one strand of thread, and I think it looks fantastic. I'm still really pleased with it, and I'm really pleased that I finished it on the 4th of October at Stitch in London, where Claire from Love Poppet was a vendor. So she got a cheeky little photo of Claire, and actually Claire and I went out for dinner the evening with Whitney, who's at Crafty Whitney, and you know, really good to get to know Claire. Really enjoyed spending time with her. Really lovely lady. And so yeah, so I had a picture with Claire, and also we did, you know, it was interesting. I think Claire was really interested to see what my 1 strand over 2 looked like compared to her 2 over 2, and actually we have got a photo of them side by side, which I'll show you as well, so you can just see, you know, mine obviously looks a little bit more primitive and a little bit more muted, but hers, the colours stand out a lot more vibrant. But both beautiful, both really beautiful. So I think, you know, you just have to, you know, you stitch what you want to stitch, and I'm not sure that I will ever go back to stitching with 2 strands, just because I feel I think it's because I like the way my stitches look when I stitch with 1 strand. Probably, I think that's why. And I just find that it doesn't get as knotted, it doesn't look I don't think my stitching looked particularly untidy when I stitch with 2, but I just like it better. I prefer stitching it, and I prefer the look of it. So that's the way we will keep on going. So that was number 24. Number 25, you have seen this one finished. This is the same book that the button box was in. So there's a picture of the button box. Obviously looks a little bit different from the one that I did from Roz, with a completely different coloured house. And this is Mildred Strawberry, and this was a start that Sarah and I did together. Natalie at Sew Stitch So Nat joined us on this one as well, and I stitched this with Anchor linen threads actually, which I gave away subsequently because, well, they were okay, but I didn't like stitching with them as much as DMC. So I thought, I've got a lot of stuff in my craft room. My other half isn't very happy today. I've got my back this morning went into a real spasm, and I'm just I'm in so much pain. And I've now got a hot water bottle, and I've taken some ibuprofen, and I can't feel it now, so it's great. But when I was prepping for this, I was like, oh, could you just grab me that, and could you grab me that? And as he did, so he knocked something with his foot, and he was like, oh, because there is just so much stuff in this room, so much stuff. And it really, you know, stuff that I don't need as well. He actually knocked over something that was a wedding present. Not, obviously I'm not married to him, but a wedding present from my ex-husband and I got, and I don't use it. And I was thinking, I looked at it and thought, you know, actually a very good friend gave it to us, and I'm still very good friends with this friend, thinking, they could go. I don't use them. Oh, difficult to know, but yeah, so things like, you know, threads one, and they were lovely, the colours were beautiful, just didn't enjoy stitching with them as much as I thought I might, and thought, no, someone else can enjoy them, someone else can try them. So they did go. Project number 26 was With Thy Hands, and this is by Teresa Kogut, and this book is absolutely, oh, it's just beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Love, love, love. I'm very tempted that at some point I think I will stitch these other two that are in the book as well. Originally, Stitchy Sally started this for Sally's 60th birthday in 2023 with Elaine as well at Ellie Welly Stitcher. And at the time, I couldn't buy the book in the UK, so I stitched on another Teresa Kogut to celebrate Sally's birthday that I already had. And then when I could get this, I think I got this off Jeff P. Smith on eBay, so Trudian Designs, and started stitching it. And I was actually also joined by Caroline at Caroline Stitch Corner and Natalie at Sew Stitch Sew Nat. Not sure how much progress Caroline's made on it actually. I haven't seen her stitching on it for a while, but I know Natalie and I are not too dissimilarly. I think we've both started in the same place, so we're not too far away from each other. So this is how far I have got so far. So made quite a decent go at that house. And this is on 36 count country vintage mocha. And just, oh, I can't wait. As I've been getting these out and prepping them and ironing the few that were really quite crinkly, I've just been thinking, oh, I can't wait to stitch on that again. I can't wait to stitch on that again. And this is one definitely that I really, really am excited about getting back out again in 2025 and getting some progress on it. And this is kept in my lovely project bag that Sew Me Sarah gifted me when we met at Stitch in London, as a bag to keep one of my 50 projects in. So that was number 26. Number 27 is one that hasn't really had much time on it. I'm not sure if I've stitched on this since you last saw it in July, but it is Rainbow Quaker by the Vivsters. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I'm stitching it with, oh, look at these colours. Look at these colours. Aren't they beautiful? Now this is CXC thread, and I was actually gifted this by Amanda, who is at Needle and Thread Amanda on Instagram. I won these on a little Instagram competition, and that enabled me to join in the hashtag Stitch the Rainbow Sal, which is hosted by Tan, who is CXC by Tan, and Amy, who is at Sew Make and Create. And I've since met Tan at Cheshire Stitches, which was lovely, and she still is. She's finished her Rainbow Quaker, but she is stitching other things still with the Stitch the Rainbow Sal hashtag. So they're just gorgeous. So again, really excited about getting to this one in 2025 and stitching some more on it. And really, I think I need to maybe not do any big starts in 2025. Yeah, that's kind of easy to say. Whether I listen to myself. Floral Hen by Nath Nolu. You've seen this one finished as well. This is on a Fabrics by Crafty Kate. Beautiful. And I stitched this with Marianne and Fanny, who are the Soul Stitchers. So that's Marianne Fate des Petits Crus, and Fanny is Cross Stitch Couture. Both lovely friends who I Zoom with. And they both enabled me with this one. I think Fanny has finished it. I'm not sure if Marianne has. Not too sure. Number 29 is also on a Fabrics by Crafty Kate, and this has been finished since you saw it in July, and this is Summer Bouquet by Yasmin's Made with Love. Beautiful, beautiful, vibrant colours there. done all with the called for DMC. So loved doing that one, I think. So number 30 is Light by Barbara Anna, and you can get this as a freebie. If you go to the link on Barbara Anna's Instagram, you will find out how to get that there. This is the progress I have made so far. This is another one that Sarah and I did together, and lots of you joined in. So I think Emma, my friend Emma, started it actually at the Wrexham retreat when we were together. So Emma S Stitches, Marianne Johnson 2010 started this with us. Ruth Country Gal 854, I bet Ruth has finished it actually. Amy at Cross Stitch Amy, Kirsty at Diamond Stitcher, Terry Askham, Keely at Cakes and Stitches, Nat at Sew Stitch Sew Nats, Alice at Honeybee Stitcher, Sue Radford started it with us as well, Terry Button Up I Am Stitching, and Michelle also, Mama Loves You GB, started this with us, and Rachel, who is at Stitchy Rach, actually had this as a WIP and said, right, because you've started it, I'm going to pick it back up. And then since we started it, I've obviously been showing my fabric, which was a fabric of the month by Crafty Kate, and Jackie, who is the comfort stitcher, contacted me and said, I love your colours, I love your fabric, can you tell me what the colour conversion is, and can you tell me what the fabric is? And I told her certainly about the fabric, and she contacted Kate, and Kate did actually dye a piece for her in the same colour. So I think it possibly has now gone into Kate's main range. And then the colours, well, I actually was really inspired by my friend Jacinta at Crafting on the Plains, because she had stitched it using this colour here. Now it is, she'd used it for the, oh, and I've gone and I've put that colour in something, oh no, Cinnamon Toast. So she'd stitched the skirt or the dress with Cinnamon Toast, and I loved it. I've messaged her and asked her for a colour conversion. But actually, I think because of the fabric, I thought I'm going to make a slight change. And I used Nighty Night instead for the dress. And then Cinnamon Toast for the stars and the sleeve. So did it slightly differently to Jacinta. But she definitely inspired me with the colours on that. And then I've shared that with Jackie, and Jackie is certainly using the Nighty Night for the dress. So that's, you know, it's wonderful to be inspiring other stitchers to do something. You know, they see something that they like and then go, oh, I'd like to do the same. And I've done that. I have definitely done that with other people. So that's, you know, that's been a wonderful one that so many of you have joined in with on that. And looking forward to seeing people finishing it and their progress. And yeah, that's another one there's that outside border. I need to finish the fox and do the lights. Not a huge amount more of stitching on that one actually. So it, you know, I could, with a bit of effort, I could probably get that one finished. So next up is a lovely one from, oh, my book's fallen apart. Where's the front? Cover's missing. I can't show you the back. From First Winds of Autumn book by Blackbird Design is the First Winds of Autumn. The book is actually called Winds of Autumn, and this is, there we go. So this is what I'm doing now. I started stitching this as part of the hashtag Stitch Strawberries for Wimbledon that was being run by Michelle at Mama Loves You GB. And yeah, so I started this on the 1st of July. So actually, since I filmed in July, I have put quite a lot of progress in on that, because I think when you'd have seen it in July, if you haven't seen any of my floss tubes in between, I have made quite a bit of progress. So that's a lovely, this is a fabric by Crafty Kate again, a hand dyed one. Can't quite get the colour It's darker than that, actually. It's more of a dark green. How close up can we get? It is really quite dark, actually, but the light in here is not natural light, so it's not really coming up. I'm not sure if I'll stitch this as a strawberry. I started stitching it with a strawberry in mind, but actually I have seen it framed. Was it Olivia from Pumpkin Hollow Quilts had framed it? Can't quite remember. It looked really good framed. So I may just frame that one rather than make it into a strawberry. I also started number 32 as a strawberry as well. And I know that this wasn't finished when I showed it to you. I'd only just started it on the 7th of July to celebrate Carolina Evertote's 50th birthday. And I subsequently finished it and fully finished it with the help of my friend Whitney, who's Crafty Whitney, who was over here for the Big Stitch. And then I actually gifted it to Caroline at the Big Stitch for her 50th birthday present, which was just, yeah, it was lovely. They were on the next table to us. I'd met Kerry from Roxy Floss Co the year before at Stitch in London, but Caroline hadn't been at Stitch in London, so it was really nice to meet Caroline and to take a little gift for her. So that was number 32. So that was the last one that you saw on my mid-year kind of update. So I will spend a little bit longer on the next 18. So this is another finish. So this is Jane Marshall, 1857, and from Hands Across the Sea, and this is stitched on a Fabric of the Month by Fabrics by Crafty Kate, and it's stitched all in the called for threads. Now I loved this. I loved when I saw this. I just couldn't resist it. It was the bit on the bottom, that floral banner on the bottom. Oh, just beautiful. And I actually really enjoyed stitching it as well. So really pleased with this one. Needs to get framed quite quickly. So that's a 36 count linen as well. Next up, this is one that Sarah and I stitched together. This is Christmas Ride by Barbara Anna. It's on a 36 count country vintage mocha, and pretty much the call for threads. However, the red on there was far more orangey. So Father Christmas's coat was far more an orange colour, and so I changed that to red. I think possibly 321, the MC 321, and I think Sarah did it too. I think I had I'd started it and then became a bit despondent with it, because it actually took me, it's not very big at all. We started it on the 22nd of July and it took me till the 7th of August to finish it. I've got a feeling Sarah finished it in a day or two, and I'd started it, and I think one of the first things to stitch was that Father Christmas and his coat, because I normally start in the middle. And because I didn't like the colour, because it was too orange, I think I just put it down and thought, I'm not happy with that. And then I saw Sarah had finished it and she changed the colour to red, and I thought, that's what I need to do. So it frogged all the kind of orangey colour out and did it, and then it stitched up quite quickly once I was happy with it. But it certainly took that seeing Sarah had finished it to make me think, get on with it, girl, get on with it. So that was number 34. Number 35 was this is a gorgeous one. This is Feast of Friendship by Blackbird Designs, and I started this with the lovely Lisa from At Lost in Stitches, and our hashtag for this is Feast of Friendship for Lisa. And we started this in the end of July. I think Lisa had just come back to Flosstube. She'd had kind of 6 months off with her illness, and she came back not fighting fit, but much better, in a much better place, and just full of love for kind of friendship that she'd been, the people had reached out to her, and the friendship that she'd had while we hadn't seen her on social media and on Flosstube. And she'd said on the Flosstube she wanted to start it, and I said, well, I really want to start it too, and really want to do it in your honour, of to show you know, and to appreciate that the friendship that you've been offered and given while you've not been around. So we started this one together. Mainly used the called for fancy floss on this one, and I'm doing this on a 40 count Cafe au lait by Zweigart, and Lisa has done lots on this. The last time she showed it, she'd done absolutely quite a lot, and I have done not a huge amount at all. But I think on a 40 count, let's just grab, where did I put the board? I dropped the board, and with my saw back I carefully managed to pick it up. Here we go. And then I don't know where I put it. It's under here. Let's just, there we go. That's going to be better for you to see, I think. So again, with the 40 count, just slow going, but hopefully now I've got some magnification. I'll be able to make a bit quicker progress on that. But, I mean, that's a lot of stitching. That bowl, this bowl here for the fruit, yeah, it's a lot of stitches. I mean, that house is going to be that house is going to take a bit of time. It really is going to take a bit of time. Yeah, it'll get done eventually. It'll get done eventually. So that was number 35. Number 36 was something that I finished, and this is Shoe, and it's a fancy blanket, and it's by Pinebury Lane. This is one that, so there's a lovely gang, which I think initially kind of started at the Essex Needles retreat with Ellie Welly Stitcher, Crafty Kirsty, the Stitching Whippet, and Ali Stitcher. They've since been joined by, I'm not sure if it's Laura or Laurie, and then Laurel Chesham as well, and I joined in this year too. This is the 4th year they've done a fancy blanket. Every year on the 1st of August they've started a new one, and this is the 4th one, which I think Kirsty, his Crafty Kirsty, chose this time, and I decided to join in and loved it. I've stitched this on, it's the Called For Weeks Dye Works fabric, 35 count, and it's called Beige, and I pretty much stitched this with all of the Called For fancy flosses, apart from I didn't have the one that this green here and was, can't remember what colour that was, can't remember what the Called For was, but I think this is 3011, and I just thought, well, I just think for that vine it doesn't really need to be the variegated. I think, you know, when you've got a nice block here like the skirt or the apron, I think the variegated is lovely, but I don't think when you've got just a straight, yeah, I don't think it matters quite so much. So I finished that started on the 1st of August, and I finished that on the 5th of October. Not too sure how I'll fully finish that one yet, because I think I will want to perhaps have maybe better in a frame, so that, because I will join in and I will do more of the fancy blankets with the gang over the next couple of years. So I think maybe frame it so it can go on the wall, so that I can then put subsequent years with it as well. Number 37 is a finish, and this is Steampunk Penelope, and I finished this the 14th of December. So I'd started it on the 8th of August, finished it on the 14th of December. So it was a really good one actually for Zoom calls, to filling in this dress, and doing the straight lines down. Now it's on a mystery fabric, which I think is a 32 count. Not entirely sure, and I used the mainly Called For fancy floss. However, there was a fancy floss for the back, for the black, which I didn't have, or I didn't want to use because I didn't have very much of it, so I just used 310 on that. But everything else is the fancy floss colours. I think plum and moss, so some great colours, and started this as a part of a stitch along for my lovely friend Ruth at Country Gal 854. It was her birthday start, and we were doing hashtag birthday bird for Ruth Sal with a gang of friends, and we all started a bird. for Ruth. I think Ruth started a Mama Loves You GB bird, and then I actually bought her another one for her birthday, gifted her one. So I think did I get her little swoop and she started Elizabeth's bird? Can't quite remember, but yeah, so that was my bird for Ruth. And then I do actually have, as you can see, decent size amount of fabric for which I've put Penelope on, and I have also Percival, so he's steampunk Percival, and this is from Annie the Proper Stitcher, and I want to put him on the other side of that fabric. So that is that's a start for 2025 at some point, though I haven't as yet planned when I'm going to do that. And there's quite a few of the threads there. So eggplant was another of the purple. I don't think, so plum, I haven't got an awful lot left. I don't think there's any plum in Percy. I think he uses more eggplant. But he also has some Weeks Dye Works basil and another colour as well in him. So looking forward to starting him, and then there will be 2. Number 38 is Autumn Bee by the Blue Flower, which is this one. And this is one that Sarah and I started together, and I ended up changing a whole load of the colours just because. So I'm doing this on a Fabric of the Month from Crafty Kate. Just trying to get the cut. So the fabric looks darker than you are seeing on the camera. Maybe that's more like, yeah, that's more like it maybe. There we go, with the shadow. Now, the colour of that wing didn't show up brilliantly on this fabric, and I wasn't enthralled with it. So I've swapped. I went through my fancy floss collection. Oh, and I think actually it was too similar. So I think you was using 503 and 502. And just everything just looked, oh, what was that colour? 3022. Everything was just looking too similar, and just, yeah, just wasn't overly happy. So I went through and I picked out, went through my classic colour work. I went through all my fancy flosses and basically picked out some colours that I thought looked better. And I do think I'm much happier with the colour of that wing now. So, yes. So what else do I need to tell you about that one? It's a 36 count Fabric of the Month there from Crafty Kate. And actually, so that was one that I started with Sarah, and actually Suzanne, who is Stitches in the Wood, also started that one with us. I've got a feeling she's made quite a lot of progress on that. Number 39. Oh, I love this one. This is definitely one of my favourites. I had this in my stash. I'd had it in my stash for quite a while, actually. Cinnamon Stars by Plum Street Samplers. I'd had it in my stash for quite a while. I'm not sure if I'd planned to stitch it as part of the. I think it was on my list, but I think I'd planned to start it in the autumn. And then my friend Caroline at Caroline Stitch Corner said she would like to start it as her birthday start, and that was at the end of August. And I said, well, yes, I'm going to change things around so I can start it with you. And Alex at Salex Stitches also did it with us with a hashtag of Look at the Stars Sal. Now they have both already finished it, so I'm way behind. I've made a lot of progress. I've made a lot of progress on this, but they have both finished it. This is on a 36 count light mocha stroke mushroom Zweigart, and yeah, all those sunflowers are done. Quite a lot of the pumpkins. A good 2/3 of the house is done. So I've just got the other side of this house, and obviously I've got all the stars to do, and the corn on the other side. So all this here and this bit of the house. I don't think you know Caroline and Alex also work on other projects as well. So, you know, they weren't, I don't think they were stitching exclusively on this. But yeah, it's one that with a bit of time in it, it could get done quite quickly, I think. I definitely like that one done so that I can get it up for autumn this year and get it framed and on the wall so I can display it at autumn, because I really love it. It is one of my all-time favourites, I think. Yes, I'm using mainly the fancy floss with that one, and I think there were just 2 DMCs that I had to substitute on it. Oh, another one. This is project number 40. This again, I adore this one. I love, love, love stitching on this one. I never want this one to finish, but I want to finish it because I want to get it up on the wall. This is Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs. Just, yeah, one of my favourites. Started this on the 1st of September, and I'd bought this pattern from Rachel at Talking Dog Stitchery because I think I'd seen Lauren at Flossabilities buy it, and I'd already got it in my cart, and I was like, oh, I hope there's still one, you know, I hope Rachel's got more than one in stock, because I really wanted that, and Lauren's gone and bought it. So I went and bought it quickly, and luckily Rachel did have more than one in stock. So I told Lauren this story, and we decided we needed to do a stitch along, and we talked to Rachel, so Talking Dog Stitcher, and we talked to Sherry as well at Just So Sherry when we were all met up at the Big Stitch, and we decided to do a stitch along, and we've called it Away We Stitch. So this is how I have made quite a decent bit of progress on this, getting that house done, getting a couple of the birds done, and starting on that big old border. Now I know Sherry started on the border and has found it quite hard going, so I thought, right, I need to try and get some of the border done at the same time as trying to get all the other bits done as well, because I don't want to get to the border and kind of go, oh, this is a bit of a chore. So I'm going to try and get some done as I go. I'm stitching this beautiful fabric. I got this at the Big Stitch. Well, I ordered it before the Big Stitch and picked it up at the Big Stitch. This is Grandpa's Sleeve by XG Designs in 36 count, and it's gorgeous. It's really nice to stitch on. So I'm using all of the called for fancy floss. I'm using 2 versions of Garden Gate. So there was a little bit, I think we were all struggling to get Garden Gates. And my lovely friend in America, Marianne, sent me a skein. And as it was on its way, I found one. I found one in my office. I've got quite a lot of thread. I found one. I didn't realise I had it. I think it had been in another project. I was so embarrassed. However, the colours, the one that Marianne sent me and the one that I've got are quite different. And I've really taken advantage of that I have used. Can't quite remember what I've stitched now. I think the bird's wing, I think, is in the slightly lighter colour. And then what else is on Garden Gate on this? What have you? I can't remember. I think it might be the houses, the windows of the house. So I think I've used my one that was darker on the windows and Marianne's lighter. So I think if I'd have used the dark colour on these wings, you wouldn't have seen them. And if you use the lighter colour on the window ledges, the rounds of the windows, you wouldn't have seen it. So I think I've been really lucky that I had a skein of each in slightly different colour ways, and it's worked out for me. I have a feeling the Garden Gate I probably have got is probably quite an old one. I probably bought it in about 2021, and yeah, so I think it's probably quite a different colour perhaps to what you get now. And that, you know, that is a little bit of an issue with overdyed threads. Things change. You can't guarantee that you're going to get the same colour. So if you're stitching something that's quite big and you're doing it all in one colour, you definitely should be buying your skeins all at the same time so that they are from the same dye lot, because We can't expect, you know, DMC, we know it's going to be the same colour all of the time, but with the hand dyed threads, we can't expect that, and I don't think any of us really do we? But you know, I've taken advantage there of two slightly different dye lots, and it's worked quite well. So project number 41. This was one that a designer that I met and discovered at the Big Stitch, and that was Mikael from Star Parades Designs, and he came and sat on our table on the Saturday evening. I think we'd had Noreen sitting with us during the day, and she had to go off early. She was in England for a weekend with her husband, come over from Northern Ireland. She'd come to Big Stitch for the day, and then they were going off that evening to do something else on the evening and on the Sunday. So Mikael came over and sat with us once Noreen had left on the Saturday evening, and he showed us his quacker. Now, the table just went absolutely quackers over this design. We all absolutely adored it. And there was quite a lot of noise and quite a lot of fuss, so much so that Fiona and Lizzie, who were sat on the next table, came over and were like, "What's going on? We're very excited for you. What's happening? We want to join in." And of course they did join in. And so the quack along was created, and I'll pop a picture up actually, because there were quite a few of us who were on the table at the Big Stitch, who then met up at Stitch in London, and we all brought our quackers with us and had a little photo. So I am stitching my quacker on a 40 count Zweigart called Aqua. Now, quite a few, I think most people are stitching it as monochrome. Mikael's done it as with a kind of cream on the blue, and I decided I was just going to go a little bit off-piste, and I have been stitching mine with Roxy Flosco thread, and I haven't picked. So when I went to Stitch in London, there was an opportunity to order some Roxy Flosco colours, and I did choose some that I thought would fit in with this, but I love that little ducky down at the bottom. So I just thought I'm just going to stitch with whatever I've got. It's all going to be on Roxy Flosco, and we have a plan that we will all meet up again at the Big Stitch in 2026, and they will be finished. So I still have about 1.5 years to go to get this one finished, but it is a big chart, and actually my friend Sue has finished it, and we see each other quite regularly at Cheshire Stitches, and she brought it along for me to see, and she kindly let me take a photograph of her for me to send to Mikael, so he could see Sue's, and she kindly has let me share it here as well. So here is Sue with her quacker, and it's quite impressive. I think I'm not sure what the fabric she stitched it on, but it's a gorgeous dark blue, possibly a sulky. Or was it a different? Can't remember, but I think you'll agree it looks amazing. Sue's done an absolutely amazing job. Yeah, and I don't think any of us doing the quack along could quite believe that she could stitch it quite quickly, because she definitely started it after the Big Stitch. Had she already got it when I showed it and said, "Oh, I love it too. I'm going to start it with you"? I can't remember, or did she? I can't remember if she did that or if she bought it after seeing it. But certainly already finished and looking absolutely amazing. So well done to Sue. Chart number 42. This was a really special one for me. So this is Americana Blue, and this was started on the 26th of September, which was my birthday. So this was my birthday start. We did this with a hashtag of Sally Americana for 50. Sarah obviously started stitching it with me on the same day, as did Ruth at Country Gal 854, and also Caroline Stitch Corner. She's just stitching parts of it. She's not stitching all of it. I think she's just stitching some of the bits that is particularly stitching related. And I'm stitching this on a fabric from those missing stitches that I was gifted in an exchange by Catherine, who is Trin Kitty, and I'm stitching it with La Belle by Cottage Garden Threads. So not a huge amount of progress so far, but this is definitely one. Just trying to see if I can get the correct colour of the fabric in there for you. No, it's still not. The light's really bad today. I haven't got my ring light on, and I don't know that that would make it any better, to be honest. It's a kind of peachy, it's a good neutral, but with some good kind of mottling on it. It's lovely. It's a really lovely fabric. And it's 36 count, which is perfect for me. Really need going. I will make an effort to get this one done in 2026. Get some real good session on it. And this is in a beautiful bag that was made for me by my friend Charlie Feathers for my 50th birthday, with chickens on it. You see, what does it say? For my wonderful friend Sally, and then obviously the 50 here. So gorgeous, handmade by Charlie Feathers. Beautiful bag. So that was my birthday start. Number 43 was another one from the Winds of Autumn book. It was this one here, October 31st. And I just love this. Absolutely love this. This is on a piece of Hatfield moss, 40 count fabric from Swan Bay Fabrics. So that's Marie, who is Stitches and Diamonds, her company, Swan Bay Fabrics. And I've stitched this with Caspian by Roxy Floss Co. That's the thread I've used. Beautiful dark blue. Some really good variegation in that. And I just love the green. Green is not one of my favourite. I'm not a big green fan, but actually this fabric is beautiful. Again, can we get the colour for you? That's more like it, I think, on this side actually. Here we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Really pleased with that one. Not sure how I'm going to finish that. I did start finishing it in a hoop, but I think because the hoop was quite a pale kind of bamboo hoop, it didn't look great. So I then covered a hoop with some fabric. I think the fabric was too thick, because then I couldn't actually get the inner hoop in, and so I've abandoned that idea. So yeah, anyway, moving on. Start number 44, we're getting close to the end, was Big Stitch Big Tree by Modern Folk Embroidery, and this was the stitch, an exclusive to Big Stitch this year in Rotherham. And we had a selection of, so we had a really good goodie bag actually of free patterns and bits and bobs. Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. And then we also had the option of a few exclusive charts that we could buy, and this was one that I did buy. Loved it. And I can't actually put this one down. I took this one on holiday, and I didn't stitch a huge amount actually on holiday, but since we've got back, I've not been able to put it down. I just love it so much. So this is how it is looking so far. I'm stitching this. I've put the thread down here because I've just been stitching on it. It's Cottage Garden threads, and it's called Zinnia, and it goes from this bright pink into a purple, back into a pink. Oh, I love it. I love it. So that is where we are so far. Now there are two big birds that are to go here and here. And I worked out from Jacob's calculations that I would need 11 point something meters of the thread, and there are 10 meters on this. So I've left those birds thinking I've got another thread that I could stitch the birds in if I haven't got enough thread. But I think I am just about halfway actually on the thread, so I might just still be able to do it, finish it all in one go. I use really tiny little 28 side needles, so I play thread chicken like nobody's business. I get, have really short ends by the time. Sometimes they're so short I have to get a threader to pull the thread through at the back. So I'm kind of hoping that I might have enough to do it all in one go, but actually, even if I did, I still might do those birds a different colour. Haven't decided yet. I'm gonna see how much thread I've got, if I have any left to do those birds. If not, I have got a couple of options which are still cottage garden threads, to finish that in. So that's really exciting. It's really exciting. But it's one of those that, when you're not really sure what you want to stitch, and you're kind of like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? And I'm like, oh, I should be doing this, but I don't. I want to do this one. This is the one that I keep picking up. Loving it. So that was number 44, and that is actually on a Fabric of the Month again by Crafty Kate. It's a 36 count. It's a very pale pink colour. So the next one that Sarah and I started together, so this was our October one, and this was Home for Christmas by Plum Street Samplers. And this is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Stitchy Sally started this one with us as well, and actually Sally's made a lot of progress. She's made a lot of progress. I stitched on this a little bit on holiday because there was some fill-in for the house, and I was hoping to get a little bit more done, but didn't, because I think I was finding the light in our hotel room wasn't quite good enough. And then when I was in situations where I had better light, my eyes were quite tired. But I've still made some progress on the fill-in. So, and I think I've also come down here as well to kind of get to where so that I know where the end is going to be, so that I can make sure I'm matching it when I get down to the bottom. So this is being stitched on R&R Reproductions Winter Brew, which is the called for fabric, and I'm stitching it with all of the called for threads, which are a mix of the Fancy Floss and of the DMCs. So we started that one at the end of October. So actually there is, it is very stitch heavy with that border. That border is the same at the bottom as well, and that house as well. So I have spent quite a lot of time on this one. I took it, we had a family weekend away with Simon's family, celebrating his dad's 80th birthday, and I turned 50, Simon's sister turned 50, her husband turned 50 as well in December. So it was kind of it was a lovely kind of celebration weekend, and I wasn't feeling 100% at that point, so I actually had the opportunity to sit and stitch and just watch everything going on around me, which was lovely. So I did get quite a bit done that weekend, but yeah, that's one I've really enjoyed stitching. Another finish, number 46. This is Not Hoarding by The Primitive Hare. And I really enjoyed this one as well. So this was a stitch along called #Hair of the Dog, and it was started on the 30th of October to celebrate the birthday of Rachel from Talking Dog Stitcher, who wanted to do, so it was Stitch Any Primitive Hare chart. I had this one, I bought this one at the Big Stitch and thought, right, I'm going to join in, and I've stitched this on a 36 count fabric that was dyed for me and gifted to me by my friend Caroline at Caroline Stitch Corner, and I've stitched it using Cottage Garden thread Le Ciel, C-I-E-L. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing that properly. And then also Roxy Floss Co. Shy Violet, and yeah, I've really enjoyed this. I was going to add a grey in as well, but it didn't quite show up that brilliantly. And also I have left off, there were some hairs, and obviously Primitive Hare, she needs some hairs, but I decided that wasn't quite me, so I haven't added the hairs, but that's okay. So really like that one, and I think that I would like that to go in here as well, where I'm going to have my big stitch stitch and my stitch in London. So this one, you know, it's not hoarding if it's cross stitch. Whether Simon will quite agree, I'm not sure, but there we go. So that was number 46. Number 47 was a November the 1st start for Black Sampler November. And this is a chart, Nessie Mitchell, that was kindly gifted to Sarah, both Sarah and I. So again, this is a stitch that we started together, and it was gifted to us by Michelle at Mamalushi GB to help our celebrations for turning 50. And this is my progress so far. So I think maybe the board is needed again, and this is a fabric that was gifted to me for my birthday, hand dyed by my lovely friend Alex at Salek Stitches. That's probably actually quite a true representation of the colour. The light is definitely changing it slightly, so it looks a little bit lighter there than it actually is. So it is stitched with, again, Great Lakes by Roxy Floss Co., one of my favourite blues. Yeah, and it's a 36 count fabric. So beautiful, 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 beautiful. Lovely start so far, and just need to keep going with that one. It's not a huge chart, but it has got some speciality stitches, which I might just need a little bit of reviewing of somebody on YouTube just to make sure I'm getting them right. So that was number 37. We're nearly at 50. So number 48 was The Gingerbread House by Stacey Nash. So this was a very impromptu one. I was getting to the end and kind of playing around with what I was going to stitch in my last couple of stitches. This is just a printout of it was a PDF, which, so it's a Jingle Ball exclusive, and actually Stacey did a class for this at the Jingle Ball. And I watched most of the class, but I need to go and watch the rest of it before it comes off. I think the Jingle Ball classes are up until about the 8th of January, so I need to go back in and watch all of it, because I really tried to make an effort to get this finished in time for the Jingle Ball, but I didn't. There's quite a lot of stitching on it, and obviously working as well. You don't always have time to stitch all of the time. There's a bit of fluff there. Let me just get rid of that. But I did make quite a valiant effort. So still some to go. And I stitched this. So this is on a 35 count fabric called Gingerbread at Sparkly. It's quite apt, really. Perhaps not quite. I think it's a little darker than it's showing. Yeah, everything's coming up quite light with the light that's kind of overhead at the moment. Yeah, that's looking a lot lighter than it actually is in. That's perhaps a little bit more, yeah. But it's a pinky kind of gingerbready colour, but it's beautiful. And I'm using the called for fancy floss pretty much on most of it. I had the colours already, and I've just made a couple of substitutions for some DMCs here and there. And actually I have made a substitution. So that mouse who's going to be at the top and that table were actually called for those was, I think, caper, and it was quite greeny coloured, so actually I think I've used chestnut for those. I thought a brown looked better. So again, not a huge amount of stitching left on that. I would quite like to get that finished ASAP so that I can actually fully finish it while I can still watch the class, or I can still remember the class, because I don't actually think I'll get it finished before the class finishes, but it would be good. It would be good to try and make sure I know what I'm doing to finish it off. Project 49, very nearly at the end. This was the December one that Sarah and I did together, and of course it's Strawberry Fields, which we did together to celebrate Sarah's birthday. And it's by Blackbird Designs, and I actually did this was actually a Jingle Ball start for me. So I am stitching this on again on a Swan Bay fabric, called Hybrid Gold, and it's a 40 count. So it's a very slightly pale kind of yellow. Again, I'm not sure how well you can see it in this light. And not a huge start, but just did the roof and the 2 chimneys. That might not be actually even all of the roof, but there we go. I was trying to get the gingerbread house finished, and actually I'm not sure. I think maybe, how many sessions did I have on this? I have got my book here that tells me. Well, that's July. Let's have a look if I can see how many sessions I've done on this in December. Oh, all this paperwork here to make sure I've got my notes to tell you it. So, Strawberry Fields. Yeah, I only did 1 session on it. So that was at the Jingle Ball. So that was it. That was it. Yeah, so a little bit of a meagre start. And I'm using a mix of the called for and also not. So funnily, crazy that actually for a year I knew that we were going to do Strawberry Fields as Sarah's birthday start, and it was the one chart that I did not have kitted up, and it came to on the day, and I was like, oh, I've not kitted this up. And I really think I must have thought that I must have kitted it up somewhere along the way. And I came to have a look, and I thought, oh, I'll have so many of the colours because it's Blackbird, and you know they use the same colours, and I'm going to have them. And I didn't. So I was there during the Jingle Ball trying to kit it up, and luckily it was quite early on the Sunday morning, the Sunday of Sarah's birthday, and I happened to be in a room at the Jingle Ball with just Caroline and Alex, so Caroline Stitch Corner and Alex Stitches, and it was really great because I was running. So when I'm doing Zooms or I'm doing something like the Jingle Ball, I will go into my office and I'll use the computer in there because it's just so much more powerful. The connection's better rather than being in my sewing room. You know, I'll sit in my sewing room and stitch and watch YouTube on my laptop, but if I want better communication, I'm better in my office. So I was running between this room and that room. It's just opposite, trying to get colours and pick colours, and it was great because I was like, oh well, I don't know what colour such and such is, and Alex was like, I've got that one, let me go and get it, and she'd get it and she'd get the nearest DMC, and then we'd talk and blah blah blah. And really they helped me. Certainly Alex helped me kit up Strawberry Fields there and then, so thank you for that, Alex. It was quite amusing, but yeah, fun. And then project number 50. Woohoo! Got to the end. We got to the end. I did do 50 new starts. So the last one actually did more than 52. I'll have to tell you about those shortly. More than 50. I did 52. I'll tell you about those in a minute. So number 50, the officially last one, was Seasons of the Heart Autumn by the Blue Flower. And I'm stitching this from Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher. The issue is fall 2021. So this was in the fall 2021 issue. And I have stitched all the other 3 seasons. So I'm stitching this as birthday start for my friend Fanny, who is Cross Stitch Couture. She is one of the soul stitchers over in France. Her and Marion film together normally. And Fanny said, any blue flower for my birthday start. So this was the one that I still hadn't done, autumn. And also, so Ruth, Country Gal, also started a season. I think she is doing, oh, I can't remember what season you're doing, Ruth, I've forgotten. So here is my start on autumn. Very small start. I think I did 1 session on this, or if not 2. Season of the Heart, yeah, just 1 session. But got a start, which was all that was needed really. And this is on a 40 count mystery fabric, similar. So I think I've done the other 3 on mystery fabrics as well, but they're all quite similar. They all kind of fit quite well together. If I decide to display them in a 4 for the seasons, they'll look good together. And if I decide to obviously do them in 1 frame and just change them out each season, they'll also fit, so they'll look okay. So yeah, so that was 50. That was 50. An hour and 20 minutes and we got 50 projects done. I did, however, have 2 other projects that I did. One was a birthday stitch for Sarah, and I stitched Stitched Together by the Tiny Modernist, and I forgot to take a photograph, but I have asked Sarah if she'd send me a photo. So if by the time I come to edit, she has sent me a photo, I will pop it here. And then the other one that I have stitched, which again was stitched, finished and fully finished, was a Secret Santa that I ended up, so with my group, my friends, my stitchy gals, we did a Secret Santa, and I got Alex, who's at Salex Stitches, and I stitched her Jolly Soul, which was a freebie at the Jingle Ball last year, and this is what it looks like. So if you're part of the group that we haven't yet had our Zoom to reveal what everyone stitched for everybody else, look away now. But everyone else, you can look. There we go. So that's what I stitched for Alex, and I loved it. I love stitching it, and I didn't want to give it away, but I knew it was going to such a good home with Alex. So that's fine. So actually, I did 52 new starts this year. So I think that is quite impressive. And just out of those, so out of the 50, I've counted up the 50, I had 29 finishes. So out of my 50 new starts, I had 29 finishes. So that just leaves me with 21 to finish as we go into 2025. And of those 29 finishes, I fully finished 8 of them. So that also leaves me with 21 things to fully finish. That's quite a lot. And actually there are... I don't know. I wouldn't want to count how many fully finishes I have, how many other finished objects I have in my box of doom, which are pre-2024. I might have to count those, and I might tell you that on my next Flosstube, because that might give me a bit of a kick up the bum to get some more fully finished objects done, and maybe challenge myself 1 month this year to have a blitz on trying to get stuff fully finished. I think that's needed. I really think that's needed. So I promise you, I will tell you in my next Flosstube how many things are in my box of doom. So altogether for 2024, there were 52 new starts. 31 of those were finished and 10 were fully finished, because I can include the stitch for Alex and the stitch for Sarah in those. So, do you know what? I don't think that's bad, really. And it's funny, there have been 2 Flosstubes that I've watched this week that kind of people that... So certainly Sherry, just so Sherry, was turning 50. And I said, join us. And she went, oh, no, I couldn't do 50. That's just ridiculous. She admitted she had started 57 things this year. And then who else? Was it Sarah? Cross Stitch Sarah. Was 50 maybe 2 years ago and said, oh, I can't do it because I'm already 50, but could have joined in with us, because I think she had either 52 or 53 new starts. So there's quite a few of us out there who get up into the 50s, and I'm not going to target myself this year. I'm not going to set a target for how many new starts I have this year, but I am going to count them. So I think when you see my Instagram, I will put kind of number 1, new start number 1, 2025, new start number 2, 2025, etc., etc. And then maybe count my finishes as well in the same way. But certainly I'm not going to set a figure. I'm not going to set a figure this year, but let's just see what happens for 60, shall we? 60 new starts. That would be easy. I'd do even more smalls. That's definitely this year what kept me going, is that there were lots of smalls. So there were lots of finishes, things that could get done quite quickly. That was really important, I think, to kind of keep the momentum. For the first time, I've got some quite big projects. And definitely kind of, I'll talk in my next Flosstube about my plans for 2025, but definitely working on some of those bigger projects that I started this year, which didn't get an awful lot of progress, will definitely go into my plans for 2025. So come back to the next Flosstube and hear all about what's going to happen in 2025. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye. I've done an hour and 25 minutes. Really wanted to catch up with you and just show you everything for that 50. I have had the most amazing year. So a huge thank you to Sarah. I'm really hoping we will actually do a joint video before too long. There were lots of questions that people had and have had over the last couple of months, which we'd love to answer and love to get back to you on. Thank you for everybody that joined in. Thank you to everybody that gave us a prompt, because we had prompts that we worked our projects to, and I did think about going through and telling you all the prompts again today, but I just thought it would just take even longer and it would be too long a video. But I think in most of my previous Flosstubes, when I've done a new start, I've given you the prompt or told you what the prompt was and who tasked us with that prompt. So thank you for everyone that's joined in, that's given us encouragement, that's done something with us, that's perhaps gifted us a chart as part of this. It has just been the most amazing year. I've loved doing it and I've loved sharing it with you all. So, here's to an amazing 2025 for all of us stitchers and all that we're going to stitch, and whatever challenges we come up with next year, for this year, for 2025. Just keep stitching and do what makes you happy. Definitely. Who is it that says that? Is that Sarah? Or what does Sarah at Sarah's Stitchy Spot? So happy. I can't remember, but just enjoy your stitching. Love what you're doing, and thank you once again for the support that you've given me over the last year. It's been wonderful. Happy stitching, everyone. Bye.